Well, welcome back to another episode. I'm Kovac, here with Lady Mapi.
Hiya.
So, as you know, we're starting Chapter 3, which I feel like I've hyped up quite a bit, as this is going to be the first chapter we are introduced to the complete combat system.
Yeah. It also starts us off with a really pretty cutscene. I actually just really like this effect of, oh yeah, you're on frozen waves.
It's actually crystals. They explicitly state that everything was turned to crystals.
That's honestly even better, because now it won't melt.
This must be...
That's true. So, I gotta say, I don't know what it is with the fallacy in crystals, but there is, you brought it up in the last video, but there is this motif that the fallacy turn a lot of things into crystals.
I think it's because crystals are very, new agey.
Well, I think it probably has more... I mean, if we're talking about, lore, out of lore reasons, it's probably just because of the fact that crystals are tied heavily to the Final Fantasy series.
Listen, it's all your fault. She got...
I mean, guys, maybe save your arguing for after, that stuff happens. Oh, yeah! You're a wizard, Snow.
I was literally just watching that video on stupid Turf Fantasy book series.
You use the power of Lassie.
Can you imagine? You're a Lucy, Harry.
Has a little less of a ring to it, but honestly, considering how shit the Wizarding world is, this might be better being able to see. But anyway, this is... Oh, sorry, I just wanted to bring up, this is the full combat system, the paradigm system. So those who are familiar with the job system from other Final Fantasy games are going to be pretty familiar with it here. The only real difference is that the jobs are not named what they normally are. So fighter's commander, wizard is... really, black mage is ravager, etc., etc. And the main shtick is actually that you sort of set them up in pairs, these paradigm slots. And you swap between them to sort of change the AI, similar to the Gambit system in Final Fantasy XII, and also offer up new abilities.
So you're saying that the system is built around increasing synergy in order to bring about a paradigm shift in our business.
Was that what you want? Was that what I cut you off from saying earlier?
Maybe it was.
So
I'm sorry, the word paradigm has been irreparably ruined for me.
Well, one thing too, you might have noticed this in the battle scene, is that there's also no MP or any other limitations on the abilities other than the ATB bars. The real thing defining it is just whatever job you have loaded at the moment, and I think that has to do with the fact you can only control the main player. So they didn't want the AI overusing magic and causing a problem, which, I mean, they do it in Kingdom Hearts and it works fine, but that's my guess of why it's not a thing here. And I think also because minute-to-minute gameplay and stressing over the exact actions you take are de-emphasized in this title. So to put in an MP system would invite that level of scrutiny that they don't want you to be thinking about.
Just leave me alone.
Okay, so you said that this is,
It's your fault,
the no good, very bad day for Lightning. No, it's Hope's no good, very bad day.
Yeah, you know what? You're right. Hope definitely has it rougher than Lightning. Because out of all of them, he's the only... He can't deal with this.
Yeah. Lightning looks down in judgment. Vanille being the only one who's emotionally supportive because it's the only thing she knows how to do in such a situation.
Well, she's focused almost obsessively on other people's happiness, as we'll kind of see.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're all playing for Team Post now.
Now we've sort of opened up to a much more expansive map than we've seen in the previous levels. A much more beautiful one, too, if we're going to be honest.
Yeah, this is a really nice, shift from wrecked city to Halo level to, hey, look at this gigantic lake that just got turned into, crystal with frozen waves.
It's
It
very,
sparkles.
it's very visually entertaining, I must
Okay.
say.
If we don't know our focus, how
It's
do
like, okay, if we don't know what our job is, how do we complete it? Good question.
I saw it.
Yeah, like it really is. The Fal'Cie's whole system is one of the most
Is how focus
confusing
comes down.
things.
The foul C, they don't spell it out with
Yeah.
clear-cut instructions.
We just have to deal
All
with
you
it.
get is a hazy glimpse.
It is interesting Sazerac knows this, but
Yeah.
Well, that's what they
Yeah,
say.
yeah, no,
yeah,
I
he
totally
seems
have
invasive. Yeah.
No previous experience with this whatsoever. I definitely don't have family members who
Did
turned
you
into
see
crystal.
anything?
You know, well, we'll see. But
I just
it just seems so inefficient, right? When it really boils down to just how little I think the Fal'Cie give a shit about humans. They don't even bother to give clear instructions.
Yeah, which would make the whole like thing about, oh hey, this Fal'Cie gives you like magical powers so you can get them a coffee, a little bit less likely.
So,
I mean, unless you, or the Fal'Cie gives you very vague dreams of a coffee machine.
And like, oh hey, you've got like what, 13 days
how are we supposed to know what to do from
to
that?
do
I
it?
think it is. I think it is about 13 days. Yeah.
The dream's the only hint the Fal'Cie gives us. Figuring out
Like,
what to
crap.
do with it, that's our job.
Or else we turn into zombies.
we're pulseless, right? Enemies are cocoon.
I mean, to be fair,
does that mean that
you
our
do
focus
get
is-
wizard powers out of it.
Are we supposed to?
I've just noticed that
Our
the
focus
hair
is to
physics
protect
on
the
everyone's a little weird, but it's especially weird on Saz.
And why's that?
They treat his hair like it's made out of like
Let's
fluff.
do it.
Which I guess that is what hair's made out of. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna look for Sarah. She ought to be nearby.
I mean, I think that he's got, you know, plenty of gel in there.
yeah, to keep that up there, probably.
Yeah.
It just keeps swaying like
Boy
Jello.
can't stay still.
That's what it's like. It's like Jello. The models do definitely. I also can't help but notice, and I think this is fixed when I put in the HD patch, but Lightning's hair has this weirdest texture bug that is not present on the original PS3 version.
Huh.
Yeah, it's fixed on the when I updated the models though. If you look for it in the cutscene, well, actually no, you can't see it because the thing is so low res, but I can see it. And this is now the game, by the way, explaining how to level up. So, welcome to something you're going to see a lot of in the run, the Crystarium. If you've ever played Final Fantasy X or Final Fantasy XII, so basically all the Final Fantasies that came right before this, then you're probably pretty familiar with the concept of the Crystarium. It's basically a mixture of the job board, the license board from 12, and the, what was it called in 10? Sphere Grid in 10.
Yeah, the sphere grid.
You know, the big thing, though, that is different about it is that it's a little bit more linear and doesn't open up like the Sphere Grid does. So it's closer to 12, at least the pre-Zodiac age, where the license board was a lot more rigid. Zodiac age, of course, changing it to make it less rigid. The other thing that's very interesting about it, as you might notice, is that I'm at the peak of what this can do Sentinel-wise, I believe, for Snow. And that is because, unlike many other Final Fantasy games, there are caps. There are caps in how much you can actually advance your characters, decided by the story.
That kind of makes sense, but I will say, just sorry to distract from the Crystarium for a second. I love how they only have the one face for everyone, and Hope is the only one who's showing like an appropriate emotion for the situation.
What, you
Where
mean
Hope
male
just looks
model?
emotionally devastated, and everyone else looks like, yeah.
You're getting devastated from that? I'm getting like a
Gotta be a
model
way through here
pretending like they're
somewhere.
surprised the camera's there.
Oh no, what I'm getting from Hope is I'm getting that like that face you get when your like brain don't compute because I've been through too much.
Oh, okay, maybe. I guess there's a little blankness to it, I guess.
No thought, only potato.
Only potato. How's things going with you? Because I'm a potato.
Not very good. I am also potato.
So, this is, of course, me loading out and coming back in.
Branded.
Yeah. I don't know how I'm going to cut these sequences out, but they make a nice little, like, segue to the chapter, I feel. And I think it's also a good way of, one thing that I do think Final Fantasy XIII does well is trying to keep you in the loop when you leave and come back. For better or for worse, they really, it's kind of, you might say it might be hard to forget what's going on, but I'd argue that it's very easy to forget where you are in a JRPG.
Yep. When I was playing Final Fantasy III on the DS, I set it down for like, I want to say it was like a month? Like, I was thinking I was pretty far in the game too, and when I got back, I didn't remember where I needed to go. I couldn't exactly remember what had just happened, so I couldn't look it up in like a guide. And I literally checked everywhere on the map, and I couldn't find out what to do next. So to this day, I've not finished Final Fantasy III.
Can't blame you, honestly. Final Fantasy III, not super great one. Gosh, I know it's a weird thing because I'm doing the defending one of this, but it's mostly just because Final Fantasy III was very early on. So there were some rough bits they smoothed out in later entries. Not a bad game by any stretch of the imagination.
I mean, I would say that the DS version was definitely like not a terribly good remake either, or not like.
It was a very extreme remake.
Well, no, in terms of like it was very.
That's a lot of enemies.
Like the balance was pretty awkward. Like, and I'm not sure how much of that was like because they definitely added things that weren't in the original.
Yes.
But there was
like
also stuff like, I think I had one person who was just, I never upgraded their job ever because it turns out that the Geomancer was kind of broken in that game. Like,
I mean,
just a little bit.
I never played it, so I can't say. I do know that, I mean, they added a complete plot. The original game did not have one.
And honestly, it was probably better without the plot. The plot wasn't too great.
Now, one thing to get back onto 13 for a second, one thing you may have noticed is that every single character has gained an ATP gauge. Except for Vanille, but everyone is now up to the 3 ATP gauges now, so we have more actions available to us.
So everyone is almost as good as Vanille.
Yeah. Yeah, they're kind of now at that same level of ATP that she starts off with. And the ATP gauges will increase as the abilities go up, as the story goes on. Now, this is me actually making some new paradigm shifts, because the paradigm deck that we're given is a little basic. So we sort of need some more, elements. Because it's very important to have a good paradigm deck. The ones they give you will usually be decent for the scenario, but you will definitely find that if you don't customize your paradigms, contrary to all the claims this game plays itself, if you don't customize your paradigms, you will find yourself. How did Snow get ahead of me?
Very
running
carefully.
into trouble.
I will say, okay, you're gonna have to explain what is a paradigm deck.
That is the series of paradigms you have preset for your party.
Okay, so
this is a glitch, by the way. I'm not sure what happens here. I'm trying to go back to get that chest, and somehow I trigger this cutscene that is only supposed to happen if I keep going forward. My only thought is that it's based on a timer of when you go to the upper area and not when you actually move.
Yeah, why don't you give us one reason to believe that? One reason.
Sarah.
Or maybe the number of steps you take.
Maybe.
She said to protect
It's so
Cocoon.
weird.
And then she turned to Crystal. That's the proof right there. She completed her focus. That means
Can
ours
you
is to
imagine?
save Cocoon.
Okay, so I just had a brain
Sarah's
thing.
fal'Cie was the same as ours.
Was Sarah's
Our focus has gotta be the
focus
same.
just to get
We were
these
chosen
guys
to
in
be
the right
guardians,
place at the
to
right
defeat
time?
Ragnarok. It makes sense.
What the hell
I
it
mean,
does?
I don't know.
You're grasping at
I mean,
straws, son.
we'll see.
Host fal'Cie are Cocoon's enemies. We just got recruited by one of them. If I were a betting man,
Expect
we're
a lot
betting
of-
man.
Expect a lot of fighting throughout this entire Let's Play, by the
So
way.
Sarah's an enemy too? Well, I don't buy it. We have the
Everyone
power to
very,
save Cocoon. If we work together and
very I mean,
The
clearly,
took Sarah from us, and you
it is a case of just the fal'Cie. This is what they get off on.
People
They're
fighting
like,
each other.
Yes, this drama.
You know, honestly, I wouldn't surprise me, honestly, if they relish that the drama comes as a result of this.
So clearly, the Falsey
Maybe.
could have,
Nice
they
guy.
could have actually explained everything to everyone.
Oh, they have mouths. They can talk. Most of them, I think, the thing is, the Falsey can talk. At least one of them can. So it's like, I have to assume the rest just choose not to.
The rest are just jerks. Good.
This is what I mean. This is what I mean by saying that they treat guns as if it's really serious. Like, she, like, has to disarm them instead of, like, you know, not caring.
Clearly what Lightning should have just done is she just gone like, okay, no, it's battle time. And then much to the soldiers' confusion, it's suddenly just like one of these battles. They're like, why aren't our guns like super dangerous anymore? We don't understand.
Why do I need to wait for this bar to fill up? I should just be able to pull the trigger.
I don't understand.
Okay,
Okay, now my brain is just... Imagine
Yeah,
if this game was like an action RPG up until the point they became Lucy,
Thought they'd
and
be
then
tougher than
and then it turned into classic
Looks to be cream of the crop.
like action time battle.
An anti-pulse task force. Haven't fought a war in centuries.
So this is part of the reason why the people we're fighting are kind of weak. They actually make it part of the story, is that ironically the people who are supposed to fight Pulse, well, the war's been over for years, so they're actually not prepared to fight anyone.
Their grunts might be green, but Psycom's elites are cold-blooded.
And there's also explanation for why stronger enemies will appear in the game later.
Uh-oh. Then let's run away.
Vanille is just too excited about all of this.
Hey, wait!
Definitely not hiding any sort of emotional trauma. That would be absurd.
What's a man to do?
There's a story about that Chocobo in sequels that I don't know if I can work into this one or if I just leave it as a mystery for if we ever get to the sequel.
Look, the Chocobo is just the wisest member of the party.
I wouldn't say wise. There's certainly something about that Chocobo. But you know what? I'll if we ever do the sequels, which is not a guarantee, I'll let that mystery play out on its own because it's one hell of a mindfuck. Fans know what I'm talking about.
Clearly that Chocobo is Saj's brother. Actually,
That'd be
no,
less
correction.
weird.
Correction. That Chocobo is Saj's father.
That'd be less weird. That would objectively be less weird than what they did. But
Now I'm intrigued.
no, we're gonna have to wait till the sequels. Now, so as we sort of continue on down here, we're gonna start noticing that we're gonna start seeing more varied enemy types. I think right about nowish. Nope, still dealing with Steve so far.
I wonder what happened.
Shoving past Vanille.
One thing that is, by the way, the worst thing about trying to do this for Let's Play is like the amount of times I'll initiate a battle right as they're about to say something because I fucked it up, the timing. And then we lose the dialogue, and I'm like, fuck, oh well, I'm not going back and re-recording over that. But this is one thing that annoys me, and I won't lie, I straight up put a mod to get rid of this. The first time you paradigm shift in a battle, it does a full cutscene. It's so annoying that this modding tool called Nova Crystallis that I got, literally one of the default mods you can install, it just removes that animation so that the paradigm shifts happen faster. It cannot be understated how annoying that shit is, because as you can see, the game keeps running during that animation, and it leaves you vulnerable, and it only happens the first time you paradigm shift in a battle. And so it just makes your first paradigm shift like way more risky than all the subsequent ones. And I don't know why it was included, so I just fucking always disable it.
That is a very odd design choice.
Yeah, it does not make a lick of sense. Okay. Not sure what I was doing there. Oh.
What are
I
you
think
doing?
I think I'm checking. Oh, I was trying to set that as the default. That's what it was. Because you have a default paradigm will load into it. It's not always a thing at the top of your deck. Now,
Life
as you can see
siphon.
here, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just... Life siphon is fun to say.
Ah. So all the different... Every character usually gets about 3 jobs, though later in the game I will say it opens up and you can technically give them any job, but it's not really worth it. Even if you go through the craziness of like grinding everyone to a point where they can all use every job, it still wouldn't be worth it. Because each one has about 3 they're really good at. Like technically the best one for Snow is the Sentinel role. The best one for Vanille, I believe, is either Medic or Synergist. Stuff like that. It's just, they do get other roles. They always get 3. Probably Medic. She gets Medic and Ravenger. And, like, their Crystariums are not exactly the same, so they'll all gain abilities in different orders and they'll have different final stats. So there's just, even if you, when you unlock all the jobs for every character, even if you did go for the absolute grind, which would be grinding everyone up to level 99, essentially. Not actually level 99, but, max Crystarium. You would find that some characters just don't work with some roles, so it just doesn't matter.
So, alright, this is a question that I've been having for a little while. What are those chests?
I don't know. Objectively, I have no idea what these chests are or why they're here.
Because, like, they seem like they should be, like, way more important than they actually are, because they're, like, these hovering spheres. But nope, they're just the chests. They sometimes give you Seath Tears.
I mean, everything hovers in the future.
That doesn't work.
That just seems very energy inefficient.
Everything's chrome in the future.
A flower pokes up, the truck comes, sprays it with chrome.
That's one for the millennials out there. How's that red payment coming? It is the first of the month. So...
Do not remind the people, Bobot. They know. They know.
Also, I also don't think this is going to air on the first of the month. But anyway.
I mean, someone's going to watch this on the first of the month at some point.
I assume someone watches this. But, so, as you can see here, now that we have access to magic, there's more dynamism, more angles to how the combat system works, especially with how it relates to the stagger gauge. Because now that the magical abilities have been opened up for all characters, we now have more opportunity to sort of see different combinations, and also the trick between I mentioned this earlier, the trick between magic and physical, where magic will raise the gauge quickly, but it falls quickly, so you need some physical attackers to keep it from dropping fast. I mean, hell, technically speaking, the combat system hasn't fully... I mean, the combat system is fully opened, is that we got the main crux of it, but like any Final Fantasy game with a job system, we will be unlocking more jobs as we go along, it should be clear.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Right now, I believe
say,
the only jobs unlocked... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I will say that I do kind of like the design of that particular enemy. Just like, oh yeah, the fish, their home turned into crystal, and now they've got legs.
Well, I don't know if there's crystal on it. It's more like fish with dragon faces that are also frogs.
Yeah, well, clearly they were just normal fish until the fal'Cie fell. They got, like, splashed out, they're like, oh shit, I mean, you're gonna need legs, so they just grew legs.
I think we'll see what the explanation is on what these creatures are. I don't know. I mean, the wildlife in this game is radically violent. Is one thing that is consistent. So, I don't know. This could just be the normal shit that used to live down there.
I do like that as a justification for, like, why are you going around and fighting all the wildlife? Because the wildlife hates you anyway.
We live in a hell world. Like, they call Pulso hell worlds, but really this entire world, like, honestly, as we go, if we ever do all 3 of the games, this entire setting is hell. Like, it just seems like an awful place to live. I'd rather live in Spira than live here, in all seriousness. At least Spira had a happy ending.
We built this, like, alternate world named Cocoon just so we could have beach resorts. That was the whole reason.
I mean, kind of. There's no beaches on Pulse.
What a horrible place. Maybe it truly is hell.
I just had the dumbest idea for a gimmick video, by the way. I will never do this, so I'm not gonna... I'll say it here, but imagine if you did a video where neither of you are actually watching the video, you're just guessing what's happening and responding to it, and then you reveal at the end that you were just making it up. And then
I mean, isn't that what we're... never mind. Shouldn't spoil it for the people.
I don't know, I just had that thought just now, because you could probably pull that off if you know the game well enough. Again, that's me realizing I was going the wrong way. I left that in just because I totally forgot I did that. I mean, because I thought it would be interesting. That actually happens a lot, and it's one downside to some of the map design in this game is the tendency to kind of get lost a little bit there. The game tries to help you on the mini-map. The X will always be the last place you do a random battle. But sometimes it can be a little hard to remember where the random battles were, and because it's very linear, getting lost is a little bit more pointless than if you were in an open world. Because if you get lost in the open world, you know, you can usually just circle back around. If you go lost on a linear map, you have to turn back around and just go back the way you came.
I mean, hey, unless you've got a really bad sense of direction,
ways to meet. Might as well make introductions.
This means that the game isn't just always. Okay, we've got full names.
Hope best time.
I think they're all supposed to be like European because Villers
Bodum Security Regiment. She goes by Lightning.
and Farron, I think, are French
Last name's
names.
Farron.
Okay,
First,
oh no, her last
anybody's
name is
guess.
isn't Farron, it's McQueen.
Neil.
We all know this.
Saskatchewan. Good to meet you.
Also,
Lightning
it's,
McQueen.
it's also interesting that Vanille doesn't have a last name, or at least is not divulging it.
Is that right? My kids have to get dragged into this.
I'll keep the kids
How?
out of trouble.
Oh, that's rich coming from you, Snow.
Problem with that is, you're one of them.
How old is Sass? 40 years old.
Oh no, I was gonna go.
Post-foul seed.
How old
That was
is
our first
Vanille?
mistake. Should've left it to
Vanille,
Sanctum.
good question. One moment.
Why not? I mean, we've counted on the Sanctum's foul sea for food,
Uh,
water, everything we've needed
you know-
since the time we were born.
It's almost as if humans are
Still
pets
help
to the
us do
Fal'Cie.
it.
Yeah,
Why's that?
almost.
Gotta be something.
19 years
It might
old.
have been.
I mean, hey, so
Not
still
so
a
sure
kid.
anymore.
So I just had the most. I had a realization. The Pulse Fal'Cie are PETA.
What?
I mean, if humans are all pets to the Fal'Cie,
Oh, and they're trying to liberate the pets? I mean, maybe. I mean, that may not be their motives. We'll see. You see, that's the thing that annoys me. The dialogue starts the second I initiate combat, so we just lost that line. And there's, like, really no rhyme or reason to it.
yeah. You'd think that they would, like, if that happens, they would just restart the dialogue line afterwards.
No, I checked. It does not do that. I literally thought that, too. You also think that if it's anything important, they do what Tales of Symphonia did. You ever play Tales of Symphonia?
I played some of the earlier Tales games, but I didn't play Symphonia.
I think all the Tales games might actually do this, but when they have like an interaction between characters, you press a button and it plays out like a mini cutscene without any animation. I like.
Sweat it.
Okay,
I'll take care.
come
That
on.
does sound
All right,
plausible.
there we go. Good job, Kovac. You figured it out.
She's
You go through
learning.
you go through the hole in the fence.
I thought you were complimenting yourself for waiting.
No,
for
no,
Snow to
I
finish
just
his line.
no. That was just me completely fucking up.
Problem.
I mean, hey, at least these fights are really fast.
Yeah, well, excuse me, I'm gonna have to cut out a lot of coughing this session. Well, you know, that is, fast is very much a thing in this game. Maybe that's why they call the main character Lightning. That's not a funny joke at all. But there is a quickness to a lot of
Is
it.
that wreckage from the vestige?
Yeah, because I'm playing in like a more old-fashioned JRPG right now, and ooh boy,
Well, what are you playing?
not something that anyone would have heard of. It's like it's a a game called Weird and Unfortunate Things Are Happening, and all the fights take like 3-ish minutes. And like the random encounter rate is really high. And I am recording it on my personal channel. Just shameless.
That's why I was letting you
Shameless
speak
ad
about
alert.
the game.
And I'm enjoying it, but I do have to edit out most of like the non-boss fights because the encounter rate is really high. But yeah, if you find me to be if you find me to be sufferable, I mean, I do believe I am noted or whatever that new feature is at the title of this video, so you might as well check it out.
Now let me just confirm this. In the English language, sufferable and insufferable mean the same thing, right? Like flammable and inflammable?
Yes.
So, for some reason, that jumping animation reminded me of Metroid Other M for some reason. I'm not sure why.
Sarah!
Just
So,
that,
hey.
I think it was the flashiness, but you don't actually have any control over the situation, is what made me think of it.
So my brain just went, okay, so that can be our next, like, let's play. Our next,
It won't be. It won't be that hard.
Defend this game, let's play. I don't think we'd be able to, because,
Oh, defend the game. No, I can't do that. I legitimately hate Metroid Other M. Like, that legitimately, I have no love for that game. But, there's no compliments I can make to, like,
This is goodbye.
like, I think this is a nice scene. Like, kind of this little play that's in her head. She's, you know, moving on already because she can't deal with, like, emotions in a healthy way.
You think Sarah'd want
She just has to
that?
keep her mind off
You
things to
think
keep
you
moving
know
forward.
How she feels?
If I leave her, then I'll never know.
is Snow the only person in this group who
I
can
can
deal with
handle
emotions
anything they throw at
healthily?
us. No
For
I don't think
given-
he's dealing with emotions
I
healthily
mean,
either.
for a given definition of the word healthily.
And Cocoon.
I think he's more. If Lightning is avoiding the problems, Snow is living in delusions.
protected to you?
No, he's just the optimist in the party.
Save her!
What can you possibly do?
He also has a thing for pain, obviously.
Yeah, apparently he could take a punch pretty well.
I mean,
By the way, poor Saz. Saz got like knocked over like twice. Like he was just standing there.
yeah. I mean, to be fair, I think Snow is like, he's built like a tank. So I'm not
He is
even
the
sure
tank of the
if that even hurt. Honestly.
If he was in the Sentinel configuration, probably not. Sentinel gives you a defense boost.
I mean, like, remember, he's the guy who, like, fell a distance that killed a bunch of people, and he's just like, this is fine.
No!
Not even, like, not even bruised.
Oh, that first boss fight's back.
Oh, hey, first boss.
You know, if you actually look at the stats for this thing, it's actually really high. I guess the implication is that when you were fighting it before, you just did a little bit of damage and then ran away from it. Because if you actually look at it, it's supposed to have a really large pool of health.
Yeah. It also has, like, you can tell that it's like, oh, it's taken some damage because it's missing half of itself.
Yes, that. Oh, I meant earlier in like Chapter 1. Here we actually fight it for real. Like now we are strong enough to destroy it. And this is the game just explaining to me, hey, use your other paradigm so you don't die.
Nonsense. The only paradigm we need is just pure violence. Okay, fine. Vanille can heal too.
I think that was actually the game requiring me to shift into this paradigm. But it is a good paradigm for this fight, because essentially, Snow as a Sentinel will draw all of the damages when it's in the Sentinel form. And actually the effect of that will linger for a bit, so you see he keeps getting when he's being hit. But he has higher health and defense, while simultaneously you use the Ravagers and the Commandos to raise the stagger gauge, so you can actually do decent damage. As a machine, it's weak to Thunder.
I will say, I am somewhat amused by The fact that Snow has taken a ton of damage. He still has more health than everyone. Oh no, he just dropped below.
Just stay out of my way.
So this is what I mean by the system is just not what you normally would do. It's all about what jobs you have loaded up. And you'll see that I change jobs a lot. Because that's really how the game is supposed to be played, is that what you're really keeping track of is your job configuration, not what exact moves you're using in every single situation. And really it's also a tempo thing, because you want to get the stagger gauge perfect. Changing to other jobs also to get their innate benefits when the moment arises. Like right now, you know, if everyone had the sentinel role, sometimes you might turtle by going into the sentinel role as like a defensive line.
So right now you are playing chess while the Man of the War match is playing checkers.
I'm playing 4D chess, which is like a real game now actually, where like you do chess, but it's like quantum. It's kind of cool actually, if you ever looked it up.
I still think my favorite idea for a game that I've seen, and there actually are tools that help you play this, is Quantum Werewolf.
Okay. You're gonna have to explain that one to me, because werewolf... Like, so in other words, whether or not you're a werewolf will change?
So basically, everyone is in a quantum superposition of roles. And then, like, the decisions that everyone makes when voting help collapse the waveforms. And of course, when you get, like, when you're voted to die, that of course decides, like, there's a waveform collapse, so now that person's like 100% a werewolf or 100% innocent. It's one of those things I don't think I've ever seen anyone play. I don't know how you would play this. Like, but that's the real, like, 5D chess right there.
I mean, that is certainly an idea.
I like how they're lined up in, like, inverse order of height.
You're leaving?
It's always good for little visuals, yeah.
We want to help Sarah too.
Yeah, the thing I would say is that Snow communicates his intentions, but not how he's really feeling. And he's not realistic in his expectations. This is what they're pointing out, is like, this is not possible, and this would not be what Sarah wants, is you guys sticking around and getting killed by the army.
What about your focus?
So honestly, I think Saj is regretting having to be the
Isn't that
adult
what you
in this
promised?
situation.
Now you want to forget it
And
all
Lightning's also
die
making a good
right
point here, like, you know, you're all talk. You were saying we're going to save the world, but now you want to save your girlfriend instead, so what do you
Snow,
actually want?
You're nothing but talk.
Yeah.
I want to save everyone simultaneously all the time. This is not an unreasonable desire.
Lightning.
Dang it, Lightning. Why you gotta make me think about my
I'll do
emotions?
whatever it takes. I'll finish this focus and keep Sarah safe.
I will do literally everything, Lightning.
That's
This
my
is a
promise.
normal thing and entirely
Great
achievable.
job so far.
Great job. She's really good at the cold little one-liners. But, I mean, he's just doing a completionist run. He's gonna get all the side quests done.
Stay out of trouble.
He's also going for a no-def sub 20 run. I don't actually know what the world record is on this game. I'm gonna look that up real quick. I got my phone. Yeah, though.
Later.
Lightning, you know, Saz points out, she wants to help as much, but she's so cynical, she can't imagine any way to solve this situation. 4 hours and 29 minutes, by the way. That is the fastest run of this game.
Snow,
Oh, is Hope gonna say the words now? Or is he just gonna
Say
be
the
like...
line, Hope.
Good left behind.
Or is he just going to, like, not be able to do it because Snow is so tall?
but
Snow is so tall that he cannot hear the emotions of others.
It's okay, Hope. Light'll take care of you.
The ironic thing, since Hope
Say it
doesn't,
again.
since Snow doesn't know who Hope is, he thinks that this kid he actually
Yeah.
thinks the kid likes him.
count on it.
Yeah. And Hope
That's
is
the ironic
meanwhile
thing.
just stewing in, oh my god, I hate this guy so fucking much.
Yeah,
Why
it
he
is
such a
literally that
trash human?
situation. It is 100% that situation. Just I fucking hate this guy so much, and he just misreads all the signals as him thinking he's just an awkward kid who looks up to him.
I'll get you out of there.
That is kind of beautiful, honestly.
Snow, no, don't hit the crystal in front of it. Why would that work?
Look, he's just digging his own grave. So he can live there. Next to his girlfriend.
Now, one thing the game does a lot of, by the way, and we're actually going to see this, is that the enemy troupes we run into will adjust based on what available roles we have, at least in the beginning.
Wait. Say that again?
Troupes.
I don't think that's how you say that word.
Troupe.
Yeah, I believe that is just pronounced troop.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, the anime troops will adjust based on what the game knows. This is one benefit of the linearity to a degree, is that the combat scenarios can be sort of built around the expectation. The game knows what you have access to. It caps off your level. It caps off what abilities you have access to, so they kind of always know what to throw at you. Now, the real question, and one that I'm sure when the thread reads the thread, be it LPZone or somethingawful.com.org.net, gets to it. Sorry, what was that?
Zombicom.
Zombicon, I don't know what that is, but when we do get to it, is the question of, is this a good way of achieving that goal? And honestly, even though I do like the game, I'm actually going to say it is not the best way to achieve that goal. It is definitely limiting.
It's the, like, easier for the developer way of achieving that role.
I mean, I think I said this before, but the game that had the best level curve I've ever played in a JRPG remains the original Chrono Trigger, where as long as you don't avoid encounters, you will always be perfectly leveled to the situation. And I don't think I've ever seen Squeenix, or Enix, or Square, or NIS, or Atlas ever achieve that. This is them trying to force that kind of like smooth as butter curve through restriction, and I would say there are better ways of doing it, but I also have to recognize Chrono Trigger is a possibly like once in God, how many years, like, standout hit. Like, there are games that are just as good as that have come out since then, and there are classics, but they're rare. They're not something that comes every day, and they require a ton of fine-tuning and skill.
Yep.
So, putting everything up to that standard would also be a bit difficult. I think this also might be why JRPGs fall out of favor a little bit, is that they're difficult to get that core element perfect.
I mean, I think they fell out of favor in the same sense that, like, point-and-click adventure games fell out of favor. Where, like, there's definitely has been, like, JRPGs in the background.
Oh, of course, like I Am Setsuna, or Monster Crown, or, you know, what have you.
But, like, the mainstream is... It doesn't have the longest-term attention span, really.
Well, you know, it's also they're very big time commitments, and I think that's a factor in it as well.
Well,
you know, let's compare. Oh no, you go ahead.
Well, like, if you think about it, is it much more of a time commitment to play something like Final Fantasy XIII versus, like, I don't know, any of, like, the open world games that... Dear Lord, I'm forgetting the company name. Like, Assassin's
Ubisoft,
Creed.
probably. Yeah, it's Ubisoft.
Yeah. Like, is it more of a time commitment than those?
Well, you know, it all depends on how you want to view progress. Those have flashy little gameplay moments where essentially it looks cool, you're interacting with the environment. You also have...
Do not shake the slippery tube. We cool on this? Do not shake the slippery tube.
I see the little items down there. I gotta go back. There's that action element to it. There's that quick response. We're getting into fights. We're doing this. We're doing that. Pizzazz kind of factor that exists with those types of action games. and the fact that you don't really, I don't think you play Ubisoft games half the time to beat them. That assumes you play
True.
Ubisoft games.
Though, actually, I did just have a thought, which is that, I mean, we are forgetting one of the largest series on the planet.
Which one?
The Pokemon games
lot
were
of
all
big-
JRPGs.
That is true, but they fall in a weird little niche. We sometimes call those creature collector games, or monster tamer games, depending
Yeah.
on what side of that debate you're on.
Yeah, but you still have the whole, like, okay, you're grinding a bunch of fights, and you don't have the flashy, like, every 5 minutes stuff.
Oh, that's for sure. That's for sure.
Also, yeah,
trust me,
just shove past Saj on this tube that's clearly given him the anxieties, Lightning.
Yeah, he didn't. I mean, if you look at the dialogue, he wasn't happy about it.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you look over here, though, what I love is that if you... Not so much now, because Lightning is very sensibly running on the center, but Vanille and Saj were running, like, on the edge of the tube.
They live life on the edge because they don't follow the rules.
I mean, I think Vanille does, definitely, but Saj is like, no, please. I have a chocobo.
Well, I know, I get what you're saying. Like, Pokemon is considered the acceptable JRPG, but then again, Pokemon is the weird one because, first off, a lot of kids play it, so we have to question like how much of the sale are returning fans and how many sales are kids, and you'll never really know. The second thing is how much of that has to do with Nuzlocke streamer culture, making it out to be these hardcore endurance things. Because I'll be honest, I bought Pokemon Sword and Shield, and I almost fell asleep. And I never finished it. Not because the game was difficult, but just because the game felt like if you understood the concept of type advantage, and to be honest, I'm sure this was true of the older games, I was just younger as well, then the game is kind of brain-numbingly easy.
Yeah. So, here's actually a question, because I stopped playing Pokemon around Ruby, mostly because I think I picked up Pearl, and I started playing Pearl. It's either Pearl or Diamond, and I was like, this is like the game I was already playing. I should just play more of that game, so I did. But one thing I noticed, especially with the earlier Pokemon games, was that, like, you really didn't have much in the way of type advantage stuff at the very beginning.
Well, no, your rival would always pick the animal that was advantaged against you. Funny enough, now it does the opposite. The rival will always pick the animal that's disadvantaged against you.
That's because they are games that are designed to be easy for children.
Talk to him.
Just
saying.
Oh no, what I'm thinking about is like you start with your Pokemon,
Which won't change anything.
and then you'd go out and like the first few routes would only have
Exactly how.
like bugs and normal types.
Yes, and in the first game, if you didn't pick Squirtle, you wouldn't be type advantaged against Onix. I get what you're saying there, but it definitely feels like, I feel like the first one in Sword and Shield were bugs. And bug type is so bad. I think Griffin and McElroy joked about it because they love Pokemon on their podcast, and they joked about how, like, yeah, I'll be the bug gym leader. I just want to give out free badges to everyone who walks up.
I actually did at one point, despite not being into Pokemon, I did watch like some competitive Pokemon, and some people pointed out that yeah, no, bug is literally the worst type.
Yeah,
like,
but
by a long shot, by like a really long shot.
I think we are missing the original point of the discussion, though, which was that you're right, Pokemon has survived that kind of JRPG purge in the early 2000s, but I also think we should judge things by where it was in 2009. And if I remember correctly, 2009 would have been the most recent big-budget RPG I could think of. Would have probably been either Mass Effect 2, which is the third-person shooter. And that was the big, high-budget, I mean, I played it 7
This thing's a wreck.
times.
I don't think.
Not even exaggerating on that. RPG that had come out that year. And then, you know, you have shooters. You had Halo 3 had come out in 2007. You had Gears of War and Gears of War 2. I think Gears of War 3 came out after this game. it feels like a lot of things being released around that time were not JRPGs. You know, JRPGs had a big heyday on the PlayStation 1, and I feel like they were really big on the PlayStation 2 as well. There's a lot of great ones, like the Xenosaga series, which is super underrated. You, of course, had the Final Fantasies, the 2 Final Fantasies that released on it, 10 and 12, that are, like, classics. That might be a controversial statement. And I can think of many other titles, if I were to actually try to think about it right now, but with, I guess you could say, the PS3, Xbox 360 era, which is this era of gaming, I can think of some standouts, like Blue Dragon and Lost Odyssey, which were amazing.
I was gonna bring those up.
Lost Odyssey, I think, was, you had Last Revenant, I can't think of too many for that era, though. There was that one where I think you're playing a real-life musician who's dying and having a fever dream, where he's in a world. And I think actually H Bomber Guy did a Let's Play of that game.
That one's ringing a bell. Wasn't it? I think it was either Liszt or Chopin or Handel.
I'll let you.
It was a classical musician who, like,
Eternal Sonata.
Yes, Eternal Sonata.
I mean, I'm gonna look up like JRPGs on the PS3 for comparison.
Well, also just
Because
like I think there were quite a few on like handheld at that time as well.
there could have been some on handheld. I did forget of the Tales series, which I forgot was still releasing. Resonance of Fate, I don't remember that one being too great. The Persona games, the Decided games were still releasing. Hyperdimension Neptunia. Maybe the commenter from the last video would like that game if he was talking about waifus. I said I could be a little mean.
Yeah,
it's something
you're
awful.
You're the mean one.
It's not the meanest thing that has been said to someone in something awful. I think I told you that story of what they once did to that one guy in the XCOM Let's Play.
Why do you hang around there again?
Very good Let's Play community. Anyway, back to the game itself. Back to the game itself, it was sort of a underdog in that environment. And I wonder if that played a factor. Because, I mean, I did watch a retrospective where someone said you have to remember that at this point in time, there was a legitimate thought that this might be the future of JRPGs. And if you didn't like this future, then you were shut of luck. And that might have built up the vitriol that existed around this time. I might have said that in a previous video. I don't remember.
Yeah. I could see that if people were looking at the direction that Final Fantasy was going and going like, oh yes, this is the future of JRPG. But like at the same time, I don't remember. Was Blue Dragon the one with where part of your party were immortals?
No, that was Lost Odyssey.
Yeah, Lost Odyssey definitely didn't play like this.
Well, yes, but Lost Odyssey I don't think it sold well. Mistwalker Studio was actually opened by one of the creators of Final Fantasy. And essentially the first game was a Dragon Quest homage, and the second game was an homage to Final Fantasy itself. In a way, Lost Odyssey is sort of the Final Fantasy XI if it wasn't an MMO. Because it was made by one of the creators of Final Fantasy right after he left the company after 10. So it's kind of an example of what 11 would have looked like if he was still in charge. And it's a very good game. I never played 11 because it's an MMO, so I can't compare. 12 was a really good game too, so it's not as if we lost anything there. But the unfortunate thing is that, you know, that was a first-party Xbox title, and since it didn't have... I think this is why also we saw less JRPGs, is that it wasn't able to win over audiences. And Mistwalker Studio, I think, shut down. I'll check that real quick.
So you're thinking it's something kind of like, what was it? Like, so I remember, like, before the Xbox came out, there was this really big focus on, like, oh, you have to have your, like, mascot to sell the platform. And they gotta be, like, kind of cute. And then Xbox is like, hi, our like Blink the Time Sweeper Cat or whatever it was. Nah, ours is Master Chief.
Ships like that.
I get what you're trying to go with that. I also want to correct because I just looked it up. So Mistwalker Studio is still around. The reason I think they're gone is that after after Lost Odyssey, they produced a few more Blue Dragon games for the DS, and then they produced one last RPG for the Wii called The Last Story, and that was basically it for them. They now only produce iPhone games, which might actually be game things. Sorry, there was just a little interruption there. What were we talking about?
We were talking about JRPGs, and you were talking about how iPhone games are not real
We're in
games.
safe form now.
I was not saying that iPhone games are not real games.
Damn it.
You were talking about how...
Neighborhood with a foul seed.
Okay, no, what you're talking about is that the people who made Blue Dragon and Lost Odyssey...
Oh yes, they are now basically just doing iPhone games. It's not that they aren't real games. I just feel like it's definitely a downgrade from working on a console thing.
More like fear.
It's usually a sign that your money is not going super well.
Well, the iPhone market, I think, is actually way larger.
But
Yeah, but you don't. I mean, but only for doing microtransactions.
Yeah, true.
I mean, I don't think any game developer longs to be working on iPhone
Up
games.
until now, Eden's always stepped
I
in.
mean, I think some do,
Correct their
but
errors in judgment.
they're not ones that you would expect.
I don't know. I
Humans
mean,
aren't worth the effort.
maybe. I mean, mobile gaming is gaming, sure,
Maybe
but
they'll
like,
let
there's
us
so
just
much
kill each
limitations
other
on that
off.
hardware that you probably couldn't do a game like this.
listen, you. That's enough.
Saj is being relatable.
And Hope is being emo.
No, I'm better than human now, Vanille.
We're still alive.
I'm a
That's
Lucy.
something.
You know, brief aside about that interruption, one thing that's extra annoying about that is that that person called, and I, silenced the call and text to ask what's up, and then they just showed up in my house unannounced. It was extra annoying because they just responded to the text, and then I would have been able to just letting that one out there. Anyway,
Sealing off the area. They're trying to trap the
The beautiful
stragglers.
dance of the speeders.
We gotta get moving before we're caught in the net.
So I'm just wondering, like, do you think after all of this, I mean, assuming that our party isn't going to, like, absolutely disrupt the natural order of things forever, which, they're going to do because it's a Final Fantasy game. Like, would they normally just be like, well, let's just leave this frozen crystal lake, or would they dump it somewhere, or what would happen?
what are they going to do with the lake? I don't think they, I mean, what are they going to do about it? Like, let's think about this logically. What can you do about a lake made entirely of crystal?
Not much.
Yeah, it's kind of, you're kind of just screwed. Like, I mean, you can't move this. Like, the crystal is, I think, pretty dense. There's a lot of pockets in it, so it's not a heavy material, if I remember correctly. But it is, at this scale, I mean, this shit is basically moving a continent.
Yeah, like, I wonder, would they just, like, send... Because the thing is, like, on the other hand, would you be able to leave this stuff around? Because it's, like, it's probably,
Pulse,
dirty
yeah.
dirty with that falsy energy.
That is also true. It is pulse magic. By the way, there's a weird thing about trying to do this on the PC is that it treats the joystick a little weird. I think it's like an issue of dead zones on the joystick. If you're wondering why I'm fumbling on the cross-section ones. Because you technically have to push and in the direction when there's a split in the path. I mean, having this thought, they built this entire place at one point, and their technology's theoretically only improved since then. So I guess dropping this entire thing should definitely be within the realm of possibility, but I don't know. I don't think it's ever brought up.
Yeah, because I mean, like, here's the thing: if it's actually safe to be near, do you think they would be like, oh hey, we just quote unquote discovered a new vacation spot?
Come to the Lake Bashad. It's made of crystals. You know, crystals. Don't ask where they came from. Don't ask why they have faces on them sometimes. Ignore the local wildlife, the seaf, and the fish that with human faces that want to kill you. Just come down here and bring your wallet to Lake Bashed. Cash.
I mean,
so that it still works after you're dead.
If you think about it, the given how hostile the wildlife is in general, maybe like, yes, the face fish is just kind of a normal part of their everyday.
I mean, we do find out that one of the strongest enemies in the game is actually some random wildlife you'll run into at one point in this game. It's not even like a monster or a god. One of the most dangerous things you can fight is just some random-ass wildlife.
I know it's not going to be, but I would love it if it's just like a squirrel.
No, I let me see. I think that creature is the strongest enemy. Let me just check. It's kind of funny because you bring up Warmech in Final Fantasy 1 being the strongest thing, and then I think the strongest enemy in Final Fantasy 13 I think is just some animal. I'm just waiting 1 second to check. Oh my god, I hate top 10 lists. They are designed so awfully.
They're literally only designed to get your clicks. They're not actually designed to give you information.
Oh, I know. You know, on a related note, by the way, someone is cooking some really good fucking pasta next door.
Well, I hope they share.
There's actually someone claiming that the creature I thought it was is not the strongest enemy in the game.
Gasp. Scandal.
The strongest regular enemy is the Super Mantos, though. And that's just some random-ass animal.
Sarge is a trained civilian airship pilot.
That was 15, not 13. God, I hate Roman numerals. Oh well. What an inefficient numbering system. I'm so glad we don't use them. Oh yeah, so now there's character profiles on every single person. So yeah, Lightning and Sarah are orphans.
Gasp.
Here's the Pope.
They are totally related to the Pope, just because of the timing of this.
You know, now that he's now that he's passed away from our mortal coil over here, now he's in the game. Oh god, that joke might be in bad taste.
Yeah.
This was posted a day after the Pope died, or 2 days, for reference.
I actually missed that news.
You didn't know the Pope was dead?
No, this is the most wonderful way to find out, by the way.
Not the sitting Pope, the retired Pope.
All right, I was like, how did I miss?
Joseph Ratzinger died.
How? Okay, yeah, no, I'm not surprised that I missed the non-sitting Pope, but as voicing the droid. Wait, what? Sorry, was distracted from Pope death by the whole voicing the true name of the animal would send ripples across the entirety of Cocoon. What? Sorry?
Well, I was looking away, but I will have clips of this in the threads on LP Zone and Something Awful. And, listen. By the way, his name was Joseph Ratzinger. Like, what a non-popey name.
That's why they changed them, Kovac. Like, none of them have popey names before they become Pope.
So you think Galif Dynast was actually like Jared Frieger before he became Fantasy Pope?
No,
maybe he was
like
Daryl.
Steve.
Steve's a pretty boring name, but is there any name worse than Daryl? Like, if your name is Daryl, you should get a name change, like, legitimately.
Ralph is pretty like. Look at this guy. I would feel so secure with him keeping an eye on me with that facial hair.
I will say Ralph isn't super great. Ralph does sound like you work security at a factory. I will say that. Throwing up. Yeah. Which I'm not saying there's anything wrong with working security at a factory, but it never is great when your name sounds like an occupation. Like, you know what Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's real name is, right?
Daryl?
No, it's not Daryl. I swear, it's not... Oh, maybe it is Dwayne Johnson. Oh, no, it is Dwayne Johnson. I'm sorry. I forgot who used a fake name.
So many actors and actresses because they wanted to make their names sound less Jewish.
Yeah, okay, that's possible. It might have been...
That's like a big historical reason why people would change their names for working in Hollywood.
Yeah, anti-Semitism sounds about right. Now, we're starting to run into different types of enemies now because we're no longer dealing as much with the wildlife of Lake Brachet as we are dealing with the robots. Also, by the way, I am going to be cutting these episodes in half going forward. I've already started doing them. I just already edited this video and didn't want to do it again. So, we recognize that 2-hour mark is a lot. And we recognize it's a lot for us as we're hitting the 1-hour mark and realizing we're getting no refresh in their commentary.
Nope. Not that our commentary is fresh in any case. But... yeah.
Now... You know, the problem I would say also, a little bit, and I think viewers might end up agreeing with this, is that I actually really enjoy this combat system. But there is a question of how much watching it might be entertaining to viewers, I have to wonder.
Yeah, I generally, whenever I play a JRPG and I record it for the internet, I will cut out most of the fights because JRPG fights are fun when you actually are making all the decisions, but if you're just watching them, it's like... someone made choices on this menu. I guess for reasons.
I would say 13 is a little bit more dynamic in that sense. You know, more visual stuff going on, and the battles are pretty quick.
Yeah. Well, I would say that it is a little hard for me to follow what's going on in the fight. I feel like this would not be the case if I was actually, like, controlling things and putting together the paradigms myself and all that, but like I just see flashy things happening and I go, yes, lights, a light show.
I'll walk you through maybe some of the battles after this to try to recreate my steps and try to give you an idea of the strategy that goes on in the battle. We can do that in the 2 seconds until we get into the next fight, because this game, sure, technically we can skip every fight, but then we get our ass kicked by the boss. But I'm sure there's low-level runs people do. Actually, technically, this is a game where you never need to level up, so there's probably definitely 0-level runs people do.
Yeah, I mean, people have done, like, 0-level runs for... well, not 0-level runs, but, like, low-level runs for, I think, all of the Final Fantasies?
I wonder how that one works here, because you don't have as much control over the timing of events, and there is a lot of things out of your control. Like, for example, one thing that can be frustrating is that attacks are based on your physical location on the map, but you don't have control over that. Yeah, they don't give you control over where the people are stationed until lightning returns.
I will say, I do love how Vanille is just jumping like a mountain goat.
Mountain goats also climb... Mountain goats also known for climbing sideways up like absolute weirdos.
Yeah, it's because they're better than us.
In every conceivable fashion.
Yeah. Have you seen Mountain Goat YouTube?
I think we have. They just yell a lot for some reason. And then people post videos like, this goat yells like a man.
No. That's the like... You're thinking of mountain goats on human YouTube. I'm talking about, like, secret mountain goat YouTube. You need a special router to get into it.
It makes me a little worried about what other things are on mountain goat YouTube.
I mean, Mountain
I don't
Goat
wanna-
YouTube is mostly just Let's Plays of Final Fantasy 13, actually.
I don't want to meet Mountain Goat, Mr. Beast, you know, Mr. Human. Not any particular reason. Just I really don't like Mr. Beast, and I can't imagine he'd be any more entertaining if he was constantly screeching like a mountain goat.
I mean, Mountain Goat, so Mr. Man is just a mountain goat in like, I don't know. I'm trying to think what like human mask would be the funniest, like a Ronald Reagan mask.
Well, he could be wearing an Ed McMahon thing if you want to make this joke even more forced.
He's wearing a Mr. Beast mask.
Hey, I'm really rich. Watch my YouTube videos where I just flaunt my money all the time. And like, okay, maybe I do some like charity or whatever, but like it just feels like this is just me showing off that I'm really rich, so that I can do shit no one else can afford to do. Literally, I'm gonna do a video where I get a bunch of people who don't have as much money as me to try to put as much shit in a circle, and I'll buy it for them if they can fit enough things in there. Wow, that is fucking dystopian and grim when you really think about that. That's a form of entertainment now.
What, you don't like the rich flaunting their wealth as a form of entertainment?
I don't like the rich using the poor as like literally cattle in their fucking videos to entertain people. No.
Well, then you and YouTube are gonna have some disagreements.
I mean, I'll say this, and you know, I never thought I'd want to see Aaron Hansen have to stop his Kingdom Hearts 2 Let's Play soon because he ate some of Mr. Beast's undercooked food and got food poisoning halfway through his charity stream. But I have seen it.
Huh.
Yeah. Anyway, enough getting ourselves canceled, I guess. What would it be like to become a crystal?
Saj has life goals.
Maybe.
Well, you know, it's that or Thief, so they have to think about it. The thing is, this story does, to get back to actually talking about the game, the entire game really is a rumination on death, which is funny enough also what 10 is, and they're both the very linear Final Fantasies. If I was really up my own goddamn asshole, I could make a statement that it's about the one-way track from life to death, but that's bullshit.
Didn't think she could trust me.
Yeah, as we all know, coming back from the death is a common thing that people do all the time.
Well, you don't know that they're dead in the crystal. But in a weird way, it does sort of bring up the mystery of the afterlife in a weird way. Because like, they know they're going to die. And there's a belief that if they do what their god tells them to do, then they might be rewarded with eternal life, which is a big promise in Christianity, is technically the afterlife is eternal life. And technically speaking, hell is eternal suffering, and that's what would happen if they fail and become Seath.
I mean, we don't know if Seath are actually suffering. They could be having a wonderful time.
No, they're suffering. You probably don't hear it because you have the audio down. They're moaning like zombies. They're in absolute agony.
Look, you know what the other point in time where people moan is?
I don't think they're having endless orgasms now. I don't think Seath time is just jerking off your little fucking Seath dick forever.
I mean, it would be such a Falchi move to make like the Seath ending the good one, and then
endless orgasms,
and then being turned into crystal, just a terrible end. And they just tell you,
well, you know,
opposite.
It is the Catholic Church, so maybe it's like, you know, hey, you know, masturbation's a bad thing, so therefore it's what happens to you when you go to hell. It's just endless masturbation.
I'm listening.
I mean, I'm just kind of glad we're not monetizing this video, because YouTube is really strict on demonetization, apparently.
It really
but good
is.
thing we don't make money off YouTube.
This is why
Like
I've
most
always
YouTubers.
thought making like your money off YouTube is a bit of a trap.
Oh, it 100% is. I was watching that YouTuber you recommended to me, and he's bringing up how, like, 2 random death streams in that train game, or Choo Choo Charlie or whatever, like, will demonetize your video, and it's like, not even that. I looked at the scenes, they're barely gory, so fuck you if you're trying to, like, do a Let's Play of Gears of War, or, like, any horror games.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
that will demonetize your video.
I used to watch someone who did Let's Plays of a bunch of horror games, and like he was constantly complaining about demonetization. And like the thing is, he still did it because he had a day job. and this was just his hobby. But like, yeah, I've seen other people who do full-time YouTube who like will straight up come up with like some euphemism for some words because YouTube like demonetizes you if you say them.
Yes, yeah. If you one I've noticed that people do a lot is they say unalive instead of kill or death.
Yep. Because
it is actual or suicide.
Yeah. Because and like there's no sort of like allowance given to like the style of video. Because I mean, it's pretty obvious why YouTube does that. It's because they don't want you to like, I don't know, upload like suicide notes or whatever, or like threats. But at the same time, like you have people like doing serious analysis of whatever, and then they just use the word unalive because they can't, you know, just talk like a normal person. Because otherwise YouTube will slap them down.
You know, this is probably the most hackneyed, overused thing that is said in every sort of analysis. But it does remind me a bit of double... I know it's just for corporate stuff, but it's almost a little bit double-speaky a little bit. Like, you can't use the real word. All because some corporation decided that capitalism is going to simplify the human language into a less offensive version. Not even, like, actually less offensive, because there's still going to be racism and homophobia in spades. But, like, less offensive to, like, advertisers once in the
Oh,
so,
definitely.
Like, even worse.
And from what I've heard, apparently TikTok is way worse.
Yeah, I've heard that. I've seen it way worse with TikTok videos. Well, I think we're getting off base a little bit, but it is wild because, you know, I think I mentioned this. I put these videos on YouTube. I get copyright claims. They're like, hey, you know, you can still put this video up, but this clip of your video game is actually from a demo of the game that was released at launch. Just so you know, it's being copyright claimed, but there's no effect on your video. And I'm like, motherfucker, like, who cares? Like, of course it's going to be in there. It was a trailer of this game.
Yeah.
Like, of course it's going to be of course it's going to pop up in another video.
Yep, and if they did copyright strike and take the video down, there's very little you can actually do about it.
Yeah. Squeenix can ruin you. That's why...
Oh, no, not even Squeenix. Like, some completely unrelated third party could ruin you.
Yeah, that's true. Some person can claim to own Blinded by Light or something.
Yeah.
Manfred Man can copyright you because he gets confused.
No, someone could literally, like, if they put up a Let's Play of 13, they could get your video taken down by copyright striking your Let's Play because they uploaded your Let's Play. The YouTube copyright system is broken.
Well, it was made to protect advertisers, not end users.
Yeah. But anyway, now that this
Back
video
to the
has
actual
been
game.
taken off the platform entirely.
Now that this video, by the way, has lost all the viewers who are wondering why the fuck we're not talking about the game. Which, by the way, the answer to the question is just because 2 hours is too long and we are having trouble staying on topic.
Oh no, I was gonna talk about the game. I was gonna talk about how these watch drones are like, they're dancing and having the time of their life.
You know, it must be hard having drills for legs.
I mean,
Just walking around like Gurren Lagann. Sorry?
It looks like they do hover around, so maybe that makes it easier.
I mean, I guess, but I don't know if I'd want like 2 fucking drills for legs, man. I mean, first off, sex would be difficult. You know, you're just constantly impaling and killing your partner.
I mean, maybe watch drones are into that. Don't kink shame.
Maybe they're into like autoerotic murder.
Yeah, don't kink shame. They're robots.
Wait, I think
they know what they signed up for.
autoerotic would be killing yourself, actually.
But yes, I mean, okay, I will get back to the game. This is an interesting structure, honestly. It's very pretty.
So, I mean, the level design in this game is very visually appealing. Because right now we're still going through we're going through the parts of Cocoon people don't live in anymore. So it's almost like we're in the janitor's closet of Cocoon.
Does
that make any sense?
If you would.
The janitor's Cocoon. This is where, they stuffed all the shit they don't want people to look at. Like, if you ever worked retail, I think you have,
Yes.
if I remember correctly. I've worked retail. You know, you have that nice storefront up front, and then you have, like, the actual store behind it. Like, here's everything on shelves, and it's as neatly organized as the person who came in that day gave a shit about. And then you go in back, and then that's where we store all the shit, and everything's gray and ugly, and it's depressing, and you can smell rotting watermelons from the gigantic metal box where we keep all the rotting meat and watermelons. Someone left the door open, so now the entire place smells like rotted meat and watermelons in the dead of summer, heating up in a box endlessly. It's making you want to heave. And just, oh, it's awful.
Hasn't it been like a decade or though, and you're still like...
I will never
horrified by
forget that smell. I will never forget that smell. It's probably the closest thing I think I'll ever smell to actually just straight up smelling a rotting human corpse.
Cold-blooded beasts, I take it.
Wonderful.
I'm not.
I'm just. I don't have a way of responding to that.
Yeah.
Just straight up.
Well, on that chilling note, let me walk through the strategy in this fight. So first off, the big thing is I start by trying to take down the 2 SciComm Rangers, but I immediately start getting my ass beat, so I move to diversity so Vanille can keep Saz and me alive, while we take down these 2 SciComm Rangers, which are very weak and very easy to take out, so we can focus on the Mimidor. Now we're... oh, it's a Crusader. Mimidor is the other variant. So we're right now keeping the Commander, Medic, Ravager combo up, because the idea is that Saz will keep raising the gauge while I keep it down, keeping the stagger gauge from going down by using this, and Vanille keeps it alive. Now I'm getting bored and I want to get the stagger gauge up because we're near the top, so I'm going to Relentless Result, because now all of us are doing damage, all while it's going to take max damage. I'm trying to get as much damage in as possible before the stagger gauge goes down, because I could be able to one-cycle this thing and kill it before the next stagger goes up. And I accomplished that. And now, that is sort of an example of the strategy that goes through a traditional fight. Though we're going to see later fights where I'm changing paradigms like every 2 seconds, because that is just the type of strategy, the type of 4th-dimensional chess that you need to be good at this game.
The quantum werewolf of Final Fantasy XIII.
Indeed, Final Fantasy XIII is a quantum werewolf. Put that on the back of the box, Screenix.
Entirely ruled by the quantum moon.
On the remaster you'll never make because you're desperately trying to pretend this game doesn't exist.
I mean...
they'll remake 15 before they remake 13, I legitimately think.
Okay, so here's the thing. How long was it before Final Fantasy Remake? Like, how many years?
Final Fantasy... No, remaster, not the remake.
Remaster. Like...
oh, how many years? Let me check. Final Fantasy X, I believe, came out in 2001. And I think Final Fantasy X, the first of the, 5 Final Fantasy X remasters.
Well,
let's see.
I'm thinking, like, okay, when did Final Fantasy VII come out?
Oh, that's unfair. That's a full remake.
Oh, no.
13,
so what I'm wondering is, like, are we going to get, like, a full remake of 13, like, in 2029 or something?
Oh, absolutely not. I'm saying we're not even going to get a port, which is what the remasters are. And by the way, it came out in 2013, so that was a 12-year difference. Which actually means we've already passed the 12-year mark for a remaster of 13, by the way.
Wait, Final Fantasy VII came out in 2013?
No, I'm talking about 10.
Yeah. I'm talking about 7, because that was the big, like, we overhauled everything from scratch.
Well, I'm saying that's not realistic at all. They're never going to do that for anything other than 7. I'm just talking about the remasters. Oh, wait, you may not be aware of what I'm talking about. So every so often, Final Fantasy has been releasing ports of their older games, and they've been doing this for years. And their 3D games all got these remasters all on the modern consoles. And then they got remastered again onto the next wave of consoles. But one that's been left out is 13. So when I'm not talking about 7, because that's a full-on fucking remake, and they're never going to do that again. I don't think there's a game that they made that's popular enough to justify what they did to Final Fantasy VII Remake. They ain't doing that for 8, they ain't doing that for 6, they ain't doing that for 9. So I'm not saying that. I'm saying remasters. And what I was saying was Final Fantasy X came out in 2001. Final Fantasy X Remaster came out in 2013. So we've already passed the 12-year mark for 13 Remaster. Not a peep about it, honestly. Other than this PC release that was kind of scuffed.
Look, all we need is someone who grew up with this game to become, like, CEO of Squeenix.
I think like most Japanese companies, if I can get into a little social commentary, I'm pretty sure this company's owned by some person who was alive during, like, the 1920s.
I mean,
let me see the CEOs.
That's why we have to wait a while.
Let's see. I mean, to be fair, like most American companies, let's see. So the CEO of there's a lot of companies called Square. The CEO of Square Enix is Yosuke Matsuda, and let's see how old he is. He's also like a full-on, straight-up fucking NFT nut. He's 59 years old. Kind of young for a CEO, actually, I think. But generally. He's an NFT nut. You know that with the bullshit with crypto hitting near zero and every crypto exchange turning out to be a scam. Yep. Like 2 days ago, he put out a thing saying, "We think the volatility in the NFT market is a right opportunity for Final Fantasy NFTs."
A little late there.
And I'm just like, bro, man, give it up on the NFT shit. No one wants that. You know what we want? Final Fantasy XVI. Which is apparently supposed to be releasing, and he doesn't mention it once in his fucking press release.
I mean, that's because Final Fantasy XVI is Final Fantasy NFTs. Like, that's actually what NFT stands for, like, I don't know.
Nova Fabulia Terra.
Yeah.
The new Chronicles, the new Fantasy of Earth.
Yeah, like, it's actually just they decided to change it to acronyms and pick the worst acronym possible.
You know, I brought up Nova Fabula Crystallis, right?
Yeah.
The big thing. So I'd be amazed if they did go back. Like, it would be just as much of a blunder to go back and do another Nova Fabula thing. We're gonna, before we even know the response to this game, let's, like, line up, like, 7 games to come out.
I mean, the actual... Final Fantasy 16 is actually just going to be 16 games.
It's a McCrucian call of games. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of what Final Fantasy Stranger Origins was, because you kept going into other games as you played that game. That's the Souls
I'm
game.
talking like there's 16 different games, some of them are on different consoles, and you need to play all of them to get the full story.
And not new consoles. Some of them are older consoles, too. Like, they straight up revived the Atari Jaguar and throw a game on that.
There's one game that's only accessible on the Ouya.
I thought the Jaguar was a deep cut, but you're coming in here with the Ouya.
We got some on the Jaguar, we got some on the Ouya, we've got some on the Neo Geo Pocket.
Let's get something on the Game Gear. You know, Sega could use some love in the console market. They've been having a rough 30 years in the console market. I don't think they've sold a single Dreamcast first party since then.
Yeah, very strange if you think about it.
Oh man, can't wait. Maybe that we'll finally get Sega Dreamcast 2 out of it, and Shenmue 4.
Oh no. Okay, so one of the consoles is just gonna literally be one of those like bootleg NASs that were sold in like the USSR.
Or the one sold in Brazil.
Yeah.
Brazil. Oh, it wasn't that. Sega Genesis. Or was it the one before Genesis? Really big in fucking Brazil.
Or like it's only available for the Polystation.
You need to play Polybius first to actually play Final Fantasy 16.
Yeah.
How much more fucking references to shit that only nerds will get can we stick in here?
I've got a good one. There's gonna be one game that's only playable on the Nintendo e-reader.
It's actually compatible with the Game Boy printer. It's actually vital to solve a puzzle. They have
Yeah.
like a fucking Fatal Frame-esque puzzle in it.
Yeah, so you need to print like this picture out on the Game Boy printer, and it's gonna give you a QR code. So you need
I
to
haven't even
scan
toked up today.
with your like Nokia cell phone. Like,
oh my god!
like one of the games is released for Nokia feature phones.
Yeah, I just picked up on the fucking Nokia fucking handheld reference there. The pinnacle of handheld gaming. That Nokia thing that oh, by the way, you know that Nokia handheld thing was designed to look like the Goatsy, you know, the guy ripping his own asshole open, right? If you actually look at it, it was designed to be reminiscent of the pose of that man ripping his asshole open.
And I think that's beautiful.
It's not, by the way, like a coincidence. They put it in intentionally to see if they can get away with it.
I mean, I respect that. I will say that there was like this little R-Type clone that was on like old Nokia feature phones, and I played that a ton as a teenager. Because I, of course, had a Nokia feature phone, therefore dating myself. And
I mean, you have to date yourself. No one else is gonna do it.
I mean, this is factually true, yes. But I've been actually trying to see if I could like emulate it or something. 'Cause I think I still have the phone somewhere. It's just I don't have the charging cable, and I'm not about to track down the charging cable.
I mean, technically, my old Verizon flip phone still works, and they used to make that shit to last. Nowadays, you know, you wear the wrong pockets, and your fucking iPhone turns into a goddamn Twizzler.
Yeah, cause
but
how did they make you
the
buy
fucking
new?
circuit board fell out of my old flip phone into a pile of dust. I blew off on it, which now I know is a bad thing, because I just blew spit on it. Threw it back into the casing, put the battery back in, and it turned on and worked just fine.
I mean, I literally once dropped my Game Boy in a lake, and it was fine. It was on at the time, too.
There is actually a story of a Game Boy that survived an earthquake and was completely melted, and they clicked it on and they turned on. You see, the problem is that they can make stuff like that, but planned obsolescence means they want it to break naturally.
Yeah.
When I had a phone for 6 years, and when it finally died and I brought it in, they said, I have no fucking idea how this phone lasted 6 years. They're supposed to die after 2. And I'm like, supposed to die? I think it's supposed to work because I dropped like $800 on this fucking thing. It shouldn't die in 2 years.
Yeah. I mean, I think part of it for like why consoles used to be indestructible is because they used to be designed as if they were toys. And
There was that I think that was pretty brief though.
yeah, well, I think like at least for handhelds were designed as if they were toys, and toys go through the ringer because, like, if I remember correctly, one of the things they do to test dolls is they actually like sandblast them to emulate
Stay sharp.
having like someone playing with them in a sandbox for like years.
So, just gonna throw this one out here. Imagine if the Toy Story universe was real. Just every doll is born in torture.
Oh no, not only some of them are tortured. The others
rest.
the others just don't know what happened to their friends.
Stand up.
You gotta stop talking, Saz.
Toy Story is like hell. Like, your toys live forever in agony, and they miss you as you grow older. And they will outlive you, and then they will be given to other kids. And then they will just keep existing forever, desiring kids to love them until they fucking get thrown in the trash one day and destroyed in a trash compactor. Which, by the way, I still love that a lot of people did those fake edits where they cut the film off in Toy Story 3 right when they're about to fall into the fire to fuck with people.
Yeah.
Right before they're saved. Oh god, I love fan edits. It really sucks that there used to be a great website for fan edits of films. It actually had some of the best versions of the Star Wars prequels. And then, of course, the film industry found out this existed and shut this down.
That is a shame.
Because God forbid, because like, like if I'm watching a fan edit of the Phantom Menace, I didn't already purchase multiple copies of Star Wars films.
Ah yes, this fake version of the Phantom Menace. The Ghost Fear.
be okay now.
Space battle, ghost fear.
So we're about to enter what I call the bullshit of how the game treats Fortisols and Shrouds, as we enter this
Alright.
boss fight.
Oh yeah, this is a boss fight entrance. Oh boy.
By the way, thanks to the viewers who stuck through us losing our minds for the last hour, and just not talking about anything relevant.
I mean, I don't think people watch Let's Plays to hear people talk about the game necessarily.
They don't streams. They don't. That's for sure. I don't watch VTubers for their game half the time, just to see them do funny jokes.
I want to look around.
So here's a real question: do you think Vanille knows how to like walk/run around in any way other than like full flounce mode?
She is wearing strange heels. Actually, that would make it harder to drop off like that.
Oh, no,
By the way,
now she's
her
running
walk
like a normal
cycle-
human being.
Her walk cycle looked a little weird on that. I almost want to rewatch that. For some reason, she looked way too like fluid, and I don't know why.
I mean, Vanille is actually a liquid.
Well, it is a vanilla extract. So this boss fight is actually really easy. To be honest, there's not much of a strategy here. The boss fights do get a lot harder, like the Odin boss fight, spoilers for later in the game. I had to cut out like 12 deaths because it's actually really hard. But this boss fight's just your classic wail on them like a little bitch until they die situation. And then this is where we get to the bullshit. So we're about to enter the second phase. Now you would think the game would count your status effects as if they carried over, right?
Last moments.
No,
Guess what they don't fucking do?
no, this clearly happens. It clearly counts as a separate fight.
Yeah, yep. So goodbye all those status effects. And that means you can never actually use Fortisol on a difficult multi-stage boss.
I mean, Final Fantasy has always been kind of frustrating when it comes to like status effects and bosses, so that's just kind of within the norm for the series. I think the only one that wasn't was Final Fantasy II, where they forgot to make a lot of things immune to instant death, including the final boss. And you could train up the instant death ability to have 100% probability of working. Oops.
I mean, Final Fantasy II, you know, listen, I'll defend a lot of games, and I do think there was interesting ideas in Final Fantasy II. Like, clearly Skyrim actually made the ideas in Final... Well, not Skyrim. Elder Scrolls took the ideas from Final Fantasy II and made them actually work.
Oh yeah, no, I love the Elder Scrolls game that's part of the Skyrim series.
Oh god, I'm gonna get roasted for that. But
Skyrim.
my first Elder
Morrowind
Scrolls was
my
Morrowind,
favorite.
just for reference. Just for reference. Actually, no, it was Oblivion, but I went back to play Morrowind. You know why I went back to play Morrowind? It's pretty embarrassing, actually.
Why?
I wanted to see what werewolves were like.
Ah.
Because they cut them out of Oblivion. But yes, clearly Elder Scrolls took the idea of like training up your skills in an RPG and actually made it work. But it did not work in Final Fantasy II.
I mean, look, you don't like a game where the best way to train up all your skills is to like bite down until there's only one enemy, paralyze them, and then have your party beat each other up and heal while you heal them.
Yeah. Oh god.
Basic.
The only way to increase your HP is to take damage.
That's just basic game design, honestly.
It's kind of amazing it took to the release of Final Fantasy II PSP for them to realize to remove the ability for your stats to lower from lack of use.
I mean, look, if you aren't using all those hit points, then do you really need all
You
those hit
shouldn't be
points?
so negative.
And you shouldn't get your hopes up.
So, if you saw, Sass is actually a fighter pilot.
Yeah.
Civilian air pilot, sorry. So this is, I actually didn't know that, so this is actually an explanation for why he can pilot this thing.
Yeah. He can do all the flying. I kind of love that they're just going to abandon snow.
Yeah, they kind of are. Well, they let him. They left it. He wanted to stay, and they couldn't, force him, and they can't stay, or else the thing I think we're about to see is literally going to happen. We're about to see the Scissor Sisters. You'll understand what I mean by Scissor Sisters later. I wonder if that's a whatever.
I can't decide whether you should live or die.
What's that from?
Scissor Sisters.
It's kind of. Oh, okay. Was that a fucking actual thing? The Scissor
Scissor Sisters is a band.
Oh. I was referencing something else.
Oh, okay. But yeah, no. I like the idea that he's just been digging here the entire time that they've been gone.
Lend me a hand or what?
I actually don't know how much time has passed in between this.
I like the idea that they come out and they're like, oh yeah, sure, we'll help dig your friend there out. It's fine.
Final Fantasy 13, the happy ending. Help them get the person out.
Let me help.
I mean, this is a guy who was practically bulletproof before he got magical powers.
Now tell me it wouldn't be cooler if that person got impaled by the spike instead of just knocked over.
I mean, yeah, that seems like that was what they were going for.
Yeah, ESRB rating, I guess.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I think Snow can take all these guys, especially in gameplay space.
Well, this is actually one of those supposed to lose fights, because as you're going to see, the enemies infinitely respawn. Because this is why they were saying they couldn't let Psycom catch up to them, because the reality is, even if these guys are grunts, if they just endlessly keep coming at you, they'll eventually wear you down.
Boo! Boo!
I don't know if you can win this fight. Well, while we're talking, let me pull up a Gom Fox. I actually saw a meme recently about where it's like, games I can't beat, game fact guide from 12 years ago that looks like this with ASCII art.
I mean, that is the correct way for game fact guides to look like. I miss those,
It was
honestly.
the best way. So do I. I really hate how much shit is fucking videos now.
Yeah.
God, imagine watching your games instead of just reading them. I mean, come on, right? Who would watch someone play a blue game?
You wouldn't download a car, would you?
It looks like you can beat them, but it doesn't look like you get anything for it.
Oh no. He summons the motorcycles.
Yep, here are the Scissor Sisters, that's for sure. Which is apparently a band.
Yes. And they're like, oh no! Motorcycles, my greatest fear.
They're actually Shiva, by the way.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird that Final Fantasy just uses actual religious names for their summons.
It was the style of
Shiva,
the time.
I mean, straight up, Shiva's like a Hindu goddess, right?
God.
God?
Yep.
No, it's masculine? Okay.
And now...
So the shtick with... so Eidolon fights are always puzzle battles. With this one, the shtick is to try to actually take as much damage as you can to get the Gestalt gauge up, because Snow is primarily a tank. And when the Gestalt gauge is ready, we can use it to control the Eidolons.
So it's basically showing
the game
them
hinted
that
to
you're
that with the
masochist.
or maybe thematically we could argue it's because Snow deserves to have some sense knocked into him a little bit. To make these puzzle fights work, we were put on a timer. Someone cast Doom on us.
I mean, given how short the fights have been so far, that's a really generous timer. A whole 3
Well,
minutes.
it takes quite a while. You wouldn't say that when we get to the fights like Odin or Many Hands. Those fights suck.
I'm the one you want.
I actually really hate the Eidolon fights because the thing is, if you know the puzzle trick to them, they're very one-sided, and they usually kind of can suck a little bit because I don't like being on a timer.
Yeah. Imagine you get called away from the game. Right now, there's no way to pause it.
You can pause this.
At least they thought about that.
I think you can pause combat. I never tried.
Maybe you should try that in the next video you record, which will be how many videos from now? 70? 80?
I mean, this will probably end up being a pretty long series.
Yeah. I mean...
It's not going to be as short as our Halo one.
So, when we talk about, oh, it's not the future videos aren't going to be 2 hours long, what we really mean is that each future video is actually going to be a YouTube short.
Come on, then.
In the future, all of our videos we download directly into your brain.
I mean, I joke, but I actually did see someone do a whole Let's Play where every single episode was like 2 minutes or less.
Was that Skyrim Let's Play?
No, it was like... I can't remember the name of the Let's Play. I think it was of a game on like the original Game Boy. But it was like, yeah, it's just every single video is 2 minutes or less. Just like
So yeah, we can...
super bite-sized.
By the way, one thing that's going to make you feel better is we only have to get to the G in Gestalt. We don't have to fill up the entire bar.
Good. Otherwise, this would be a bit of a harsh challenge.
This is why I call them the Scissor Sisters. Look at what they're about to do, because you're going to see what Eidolons do in this game.
Of course. They become motorcycles.
Oh, they don't actually scissor. I always thought they scissor. Oh well.
No, they become a
motorcycle. They do like put their legs around each other to become the base of this motorcycle. Because all Eidolons become not motorcycles. They become vehicles in this game.
I kind of love the idea that I would love it if all of them became motorcycles. And I was like, I've got the motorcycle power. Why?
Twin sisters.
Why can't it fly like a normal motorcycle?
Just yet. Might come a time you wish you'd let them end it.
I'm not gloating. I'm almost dying.
You know, we're going to learn what the purpose of Eidolons is, but I always find it weird that they're like, it would have made it easier if it just killed you. Like, a lot of things are trying to kill us. They all could have killed me.
Yeah.
I could just let the Psycom shoulder shoot me in the head. I still die.
Yep.
Easily see.
And, I mean...
You want to keep
boy, this lady's not going to be important at some point ever, right? It's not like her character design really stands out from everyone else, right?
Not like she was literally in that big image that I was using in the other video when I was discussing all the characters.
Oh, that means nothing. Also, she must be really strong because she just managed to knock out Snow.
Well, she is very strong. That's for sure. I forget what role she is best at in the party, but she is tough. I don't remember her role. I'll have to think about that. She might actually be another tank.
Stand down.
Because the thing is, you can have... Oh, no, something strange about her arm, isn't it?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, like...
Weird.
Like she's covering something up.
Helping them?
If I were you, I'd worry about myself.
Though I guess she might be a, She might be a Cocoon with she, because they do have their own.
Yeah, they do have Cocoon Lysies. Maybe that's it. Maybe she's a Cocoon Lysy, and her focus is to capture all the Pulse Lysy. That could be it.
Yeah, it's totally plausible, and not you just feeding me false information.
The thing is, I could be feeding you real information as if it was false information to trick you into thinking it's false
it's the
information.
quantum werewolf of
real
Final
information.
Fantasy XIII again!
Oh no, I've gone cross-eyed.
Did we get him?
We got one of them.
These guys are all terrible shots.
They're still behind us.
I will say that it feels like Final Fantasy has desperately been trying to recreate Star Wars for years. Even though they already did it with Final Fantasy XII. And you know I'm right, listeners.
I mean, I don't know what you're talking about. This doesn't strike me as Star Wars at all. This strikes me as the completely original series, Space Battle.
I just get some X-Wing vibes from this, like... So now we're seeing how Cocoon actually looks when you're in the parts where people are supposed to live in.
It has a sky? That seems fake.
Yeah, it's a full-on inverse world. So there's a sky on the inside.
I mean, that would explain why, like, all of their... That would explain why he's like a civilian pilot if you need a pilot to get around.
We're taking hits.
Yeah. It's still faster, because if you think about it, you can literally fly from one side of Cocoon to the other, which would be faster than walking around it, because it's a spherical world.
It is, pardon me for the reference, a cocoon.
Mm-hmm. Now, just like Beggar's Canyon back home.
Yeah.
Now this is pod racing.
Yep.
For the love of all the
And that famous movie,
His head is-
Space Battle
his head is-
Ghost Fear, was of course based off of Final Fantasy XIII.
I just like how his hair is sparking through the screen.
As you do. Ah, they all showed up on Pulse. It's fine. It's literally fine.
Not like anyone can... No one can check, so how would
Yes,
they know?
that is in fact correct. I am the Space Pope, and therefore I am very credible.
My Pope hat is less impressive than the actual Pope hat, which is... You really think would be the opposite in a fantasy
Yeah,
setting.
I mean, I think it's because you can't really beat like the primal simplicity of the real Pope hat.
I mean, it even looks good on Superman.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's right. If it makes the Sanctum look bad,
I know what you're referencing, and I don't even read comics.
Yeah. They brought it up in Batman Brave and the Bold, too. Now, yeah, the War of Transgression, that was the war that occurred between, just segueing back into it, between Cocoon and Pulse. So, they keep claiming, like, there's this piece they have to keep by keeping Pulse out. Just keep that in mind.
I'm fully expecting
running for
Pulse
the
to
rest
just
of
be
our
like...
lives.
Okay, so since I don't know much about Pulse, I'm just imagining Pulse to be like the classic Final Fantasy world.
I mean, what do they teach kids these days?
I mean, that would be
Gallop
fun.
Dicely,
Oh, that's interesting. We don't
Sanctum
know who the
Primal.
Pope is.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, I do suspect that Viniel is from Pulse. She does seem like she's not from around here. And also, wasn't there that like
That'll fix
quick
it.
scene during the opening where she's standing on like a cliff looking out over places that don't look...
I think that's actually supposed to be from later in the game, if I remember correctly.
Okay, so that's not supposed to be like, actually, here's her secret backstory.
Yeah, I think that one's from later in the game. I might be wrong, but
And then Saj flies into the sun at the end of the game.
funny you should say that. He actually is flying into the sun.
Why are you doing that? Why is this your goal, Saj?
Here we go again.
Because they're gonna lose them in that
Lose 'em in there.
in that asteroid field.
Dang it, Saj.
Don't land on any asteroids in there, though. There might be giant worms.
Dang it, Kovac,
And weird-
this is Star Wars. Stop trying to draw parallels.
Weird bat monkeys that live inside giant worms for some reason.
This is Space Battle. Completely different series.
I think they're called Minox.
They are, in fact, called Minox, yes. I know this because I had, like, the Minox card.
Ah. So there we go, chapter 3. So yeah, like I said, we're gonna cut the videos up because we kind of lost our fucking mind halfway through, and we got interrupted, which we're gonna have to cut out, and that's gonna be
Yeah.
a fucking editing nightmare later.
To the point where I think...
Because I paused the audio and Lady Mappy did not, so that's gonna be a fucking bitch
Oh
and a
no,
half
there's
to
gonna
fix
be
later.
a big silent space. You'll be fine. You'll be
We'll make it
fine. But I think just due to the length of the video, I think we might just skip past our normal discussion and just bring it back up for next episode. Does it sound?
I think, yeah, we'll do the questions next time. Honestly, I think that's a good idea. So, we'll see you. If you stuck around, you are the goats. Great for you. You know, just fucking really hammering it out there. You know, should probably stop sucking your dick. But thanks for still being here. We'll see you in the net. We'll see you next time. I'm Kovac.
I'm Mappy.
Goodbye.